So initially, I oh man, should have checked out both videos before doing that. Anyway, I initially thought that the second link that you posted was a was another what is it? Like a full on match, but it's just a short clip. Eh, eh. Yeah, so I'll just use this follow up video to talk about like, hey, what are some options as Paul that I like, and what are some stuff you can consider doing, right? We'll just go through some basics, and look at Peter Y Mao. The guide is posted in hashtag guides in the guides channel. Just give that a look and see what you think, and just kind of like, hey, try and figure some stuff out. So because here's the thing. Here's the thing. As far as posting future videos goes, right? Try to post losses as opposed to wins. Losses can help us give a bit more insight into your playstyle, into some areas that you need to work on and whatnot. This doesn't just go for me, right? This goes for anybody in the Discord because it's a free channel. You never know. It's a completely open channel. Anybody can respond, and just kind of like try to piece together bits of information from across different sources. You don't just want one source to be your only source of information, right? You do not want me to be the only person giving you feedback. And sometimes it ends up being that way. I think a lot of people are just kind of like, Shazam will say something or another. Or other people are just kind of busy, right? Like, people have work and other shit, and they're just unable to really devote the time that they want maybe to do this. Regardless, you know, see what other people say. So if someone besides me posts responses to it, give them a look, just take it in consideration because you want to have a good variety of sources in your information because they offer different perspectives. For example, I'm not exactly the person you want to talk to when it talks about like, man, how do I play aggressive Paul? And I just don't. I'm very passive when it comes to I'm very focused on trying to do defense and stuff because I'm lazy and just not good. And I just don't think Paul is really built to be a very aggressive character. He has enough generic tools where you can be very flexible and kind of do what you want in some areas, but I don't think that he is a very good character if you're looking for someone with, a very aggressive output, like, always piling on the pressure. I've talked to other players too that were just looking for a powerful character to pick up, and they had a bit more of an aggressive play style, always moving back and forth, always poking with super fast pokes, and Paul's just not like that. His poking is very unorthodox. He has like, a down forward one, but trust me, a 14 frame down forward one versus a 13 frame is a world of difference, right? He doesn't have a safe 12 frame mid just to like poke at with, right? And that's a huge world of difference, trust me. Excuse me. He's just not that type of character. That's just my perspective on it, obviously. Yeah, that's just about it. But let's see what you got here, and then we'll talk about my personal opinion on stuff you should be looking at for Paul. Okay, so you do down one, you do jabs after, fine. God, I hate when YouTube does that. So this is a tough situation. Anytime forward 1+2 counter hits in the neutral, just treat it as a return to neutral, right? You don't really get any good Oki off this. The knockdown, actually, no, the knockdown is really nice because they're face down, feet away, and that's like one of the best knockdown situations because their wake up options are very limited. The get up 3, the low kicks are usually very slow. Get up 4 is very slow and punishable from this situation. Obviously, it's better at the wall, but this is like fine. But don't really expect any crazy level of Oki, right? You're really just dashing in, and then you'll basically get there right as the opponent starts to get up. So if you expect them to do get up kicks, you want to maintain like a little bit of a distance so you can whiff punish them. Or if you expect them to just kind of take whatever, you can rush in, do another forward 1+2, and do other stuff. Think of it like this: you have a head start, but it's only like an extra second. It's not some crazy Oki like you would get with maybe Kazuya or someone else who gets like this fast ass knockdown. So this is fine. I like the fake out into the side step 3, which is fine. What do you do after? Okay. right? And then the clip ends. So right here, right? So sidestep 3 is +4 on hit. So now that you hit, this is where you really want to start doing your down forward 1, right? Paul doesn't really get +4 that often. He's not able to really generate that situation super easily, right? You have sidestep 3, which is great, but it's not as easy to just kind of throw out there, say, as like back 4 is, and back 4 is only +3. Being +4 is very critical because that means your down forward 1 will trade with jabs, right? Whereas being +3 means you're only, or yeah, being +4 is very critical because if you're only +3, you'll trade with, your jabs will still beat you, right? The idea is that typically the fastest option the opponent will have, you'll be able to beat with a more powerful move like down forward 1. So that's an option to consider in the future. After sidestep 3 on hit, do down forward 1, and then from down forward 1, do a bit of like swing mix-ups and stuff. That's just very basic stuff. It's just kind of like, you plug in frames. Like, if I'm +4, let me do 14 frame moves. I will still have a good chance against jabs, and anything slower than a jab gets beaten by my 14 frame move, right? If you're +8 or whatever, that that the forward 1 +2 is on hit, you get to basically do whatever you want, right? Almost. Unless you do some slow ass move like up forward 2, right? Paul's mortar punch or whatever. As long as you don't do that, you'll be fine. And so right here, you do forward 1 +2, and then you try to do the jab check, right? This is a good idea, but your opponent is just doing, like, he's doing his low kicks, right? Because you're forcing the crouch on him, he's just pressing his low kicks. So that's the thing this is where you have to take into consideration. I'm not seeing the other 3 rounds you played with this guy. Here, if he was doing this low beforehand, that should have tipped you off that, like, okay, this dude's doing the low kicks. He's done it in the past rounds. I should just hop kick here because he's gonna challenge you with the low kick, right? Now it could be this is the first time you run into the situation in the match. I don't know, but that's something again you need to take into consideration. Okay. I mean, it's an 8-second clip. I'm not gonna waste an hour talking about it. This is just the previous match. Yeah, so let's just go into some Paul basics. What are options that I like? You're already kind of doing it already, right? A good old basic 1-2 is a super versatile tool, right? This tool is a good whiff punish for super fast whiffs that you don't have time for your other better whiff punishes. It's just a safe poke. This is a jailing string, right? The opponent can't duck you. Because here's the problem, right? So stuff like back 1-2, right? This double X swing. I miss tag 2 back 1-2, but this is such a better move. It's insane. The question is, do they have back 1 by itself? They do not. Okay. The first part of back 1-2, the back 1, right? It is a homing 12 frame good range high. That is insane. Insane. Absolute homing 12 frame move. Right? No matter when the opponent steps, they're very likely to get clipped by this. It's absolute insanity. Right? However, it's a high move. Right? And if you do back 1-2, it doesn't jail. So they'll block the first part, they'll duck the second part, and then you'll get launched because he has a pretty hefty whiff recovery. Yeah, he's like 33 whiff recovery if he finishes the string. Whereas this, even if they block it, they can't duck the second part. And you're only -1 afterwards. So this is a perfectly fine situation to just kind of go, all right, I'm going to do this, see what they do, and then always be taking information on your opponent. Okay, I did 1-2. What are they doing after? Are they trying to challenge me with jabs or some other move? Are they just moving around? What happens if I sidestep? What happens if I backdash? Etc., etc., etc. It's about that trial and error. And the reason moves like this are so important and so good at a basic level is because they let you do stuff without putting too much risk. As long as they block the first jab, they'll block the second, and then you're at -1, giving you ample time to kind of sidestep and move around. Right. Doing back one, so, you know, the little arm swing does, the homing one, by itself is perfectly fine, right? If anybody tells you it's hit confirmable, don't believe them. I know I started this video being like, oh, everybody's got their different perspectives. Back 1-2 is not hit confirmable. Not realistically hit confirmable. It is a twitch confirm, sure. Right? If you see your opponent moving around and throwing out moves and you do back one and you see the blah blah blah, maybe you can twitch confirm it. It is not a hit confirmable move. You have 12 frames, you only have one hit to hit confirm this shit. It's not realistically hit confirmable. Because a hit confirm, it's like if you were to randomly hit this move 10 times in a row, you'd want like 7 to 9 times, not 10 out of 10, but at least a 70% success rate, right? I guarantee you that you challenge people to just be like, all right, hit confirm, show me, set the computer to random guard, and then 10 times and in like hit confirm and count the number of successes versus the number of failures, right? Anyway, I'm going on a ramble. Just back one by itself is perfectly fine, but it's something you want to use after stuff like forward 1+2 to test the speed of their retaliation and if they're going to try and move around, because back one after this situation, block or hit will hit them out of it, right? So now there's too much. There's not enough room to go into this. What was what moves were you talking about initially? You do side step 3. Okay. Oh yeah. In the clip with Brian, you did side step 3, hit into forward 1+2. That's an okay strategy as well, but again, try to do stuff like down forward 1. Just by itself, it does not. Okay. Did they have a GIF of this? All right, they do. Okay. This is one of the most important moves in your arsenal, right? And this is coming from someone who's kind of like a down forward 1 hater, because this move's hitbox is trash, in my opinion. But here's the thing, right? The down forward 1 by itself it's basic, it's solid, it's +4 on hit, -2 on block, it's whatever. The moment you put this little back input, it's insanity. It's crazy how many options you have after this, right? So to condense it, you're canceling into backsway, right? And the backsway cancel is very good, but here's what you can do. You can do your backsway moves, sure. You can do any move that does not use a neutral or back input, right? So no back 1, no standing 4 or whatever, because it'll automatically do the backsway version of it. You can do from this cancel. I don't have the computer set up to showcase it, but basically, if you did, down forward 1, backsway 4, and then do forward 1+2, you can do that. If you can do down forward 1, hold back, and then do down forward 2, you can do that. You can do anything you want that doesn't use a neutral or back input. So it's a really good tool with a variety of options that gives you so much room to work with. And even just the basic down forward 1, hold back, and do backsway 4, right? You get people all the time. It's a very good move. So this is something you want to start practicing. Just being able to kind of use this, right? You'll probably get stuck in the habit of doing down forward 1 back into like sway mix-ups already, because down forward 1 back into backsway 4 or 2 is super good. Keep in mind the opponent can challenge you and interrupt you, right? They have enough time to like jab and hit you out of it, the backsway, because when you input the backsway move, you're gonna be pushed forward. Because look at this, right? So you do backsway 4, but you move forward. You move forward for the kick. So when you do it from something like this, you move forward for the kick, the opponent just has to jab you, and they're going to beat you before their backsway forward hits them, right? So be careful, but this is stuff that this is going to be a core tool in your offense as you get more used to like playing Paul. And this they don't have like a good way to showcase this, right? But you can also cancel this move into a sidestep. Because you're doing a backsway, you can only do... Is that how that works? Yeah. You can only press up, so you can only, in this situation, sidestep left. You can only step towards the background, right? Or foreground, whatever it is. You can only sidestep left, right? However, that's fine, because when you cancel this move into a sidestep left and hold back, you're still like +1 to 2. That's insane, right? So now your down forward 1 is +1 as opposed to -2. It's a very tricky input at first, but practicing that is going to open up a whole new world of opportunity for you, right? Because now, instead of just doing a canned mix-up, you're now introducing movement into it, and from that movement you can do other stuff. You can do sidestep 3, you can cancel the sidestep into other stuff, right? It's super good, super good, right? Now, it's obviously very complicated in the sense of like when you're first starting out, it's kind of awkward. Like your cancels might be slow, but that's something you want to practice because this can open up a lot of offensive opportunity for you, right? Because you can cancel this into jabs and stuff like that, right? This will cancel this, do a sidestep cancel, and then cancel that into jabs or something, right? So again, down forward 1, hold back, and from there you can do whatever move you want, or press up into a sidestep and then hold back to block and cancel the sidestep, and you'll still be +1, which is perfectly fine, right? But that's vital because then you do down forward 1, back, press up, hold back to cancel, and then do something like 1-2. You'll still have the +1 frame advantage. You'll be fine, right? So this is kind of like that situation of, so from, where's that stupid move? So from sidestep 3, right, you do this, and then from here, you can do whatever you want. And that's again where this again goes back into what is your opponent doing, what are they weak against. Okay. Oh man, there's too much, and I don't want to do a full Paul tutorial right here. What are some core concepts we can talk about? Yeah, so after this move, you have a lot of options. Figure out what your opponent likes to do first, and then adjust accordingly. Okay, so there's a concept in Tekken about big Tekken versus small Tekken. Big Tekken is you do powerful moves like Kawara Goma or Core Circle Back 4, whatever, right? And these are big counter hit launchers. The big moves are typically slow on startup, but have they're like 20 frames and up. But they have big rewards, right? This leads to a knockdown or counter hit launches. What else? Thruster. Oh wow, Thruster's only 24 frames. That's crazy. This is a launch on hit, right? This is a crazy good whiff punish. So these moves are like very powerful. They're very big. However, they're also relatively slow, right? Paul, Core Circle Back 4, you're looking at 17 to 18 frame startup, right? Because you have to input. Each arrow is a frame of input, right? It's gonna be like 3-ish frames to get to it, right? And then you'll do the Core Circle Back 4, so you're typically looking at like 17 to 18 frames or some shit, right? It's not like always gonna be. Maybe in frame data you'll see like 15 frames. That's not how fast this move is. Oh man, that'd be insane. It is still ridiculously fast and good, but the thing is the thing I'm trying to talk about is basically small Tekken is about using fast, small moves that, despite their lack of maybe an explosive reward, are still very safe and very critical. They're at that close range where you need a fast tool to hit your opponent, right? Like down 1. This is not an explosive reward move, but this move is so insanely fast that it often hits people out of whatever they're doing. Excuse me. Right. The problem with Paul is that he doesn't really have like a 12, 13 frame mid, which is very critical at the close range game, but it's fine. But we'll talk about that later. So you need to start getting a bit better about when to use these moves, right? These big power moves versus these moves. Try and think about like, all right, my opponent's kind of up close. Let me stick to my small moves until I'm at a better range. When then you can start doing this move again, right? That's basically the gist of it. Is that use these moves at a range. If your opponent's super close to you, as we saw at the start of this round, right? Look at the start of this round. You do Corsica go back 4, get the count, rip the launch. Oh, was it the start of this round? Yeah, right here, right? You do the Corsica go back 4, it whiffs, you try for it again, but the opponent's way too close. If you instead did something like this, you would have likely hit him out of his jab string. And just kind of developing that sense, it'll come over time. But knowing when to do these moves and these moves is critical, because you can't just this is only half the battle, right? I mean, let's be real. With Paul, it's oh, that's funny. What? They don't have a gift for this? That's fucking stupid. All right, I should like spend the weekend and donate gifts to the fucking gift bot. All right, look. With Paul, half the battle seems just like this move and down forward 2. But this these all play a critical role, right? These are very useful moves, and so don't neglect this. Oh, that's actually a lot of whiff recovery. Huh, damn. You can win entire rounds just by doing this into this, right? This move is insane. This is your real Death Fist. At the high level, this is the Death Fist you want to be using. It's a clean hit, knockdown mid. Granted, the opponent can tech roll out of it, but most of the time people don't, but it's whatever. It's a knockdown mid that if they don't tech roll, meaning if they're not holding back, when you see this knockdown right here that the Yoshi's in, if they don't tech roll, you get to dash in and do down back 2. Oh, I don't want these big. These two moves are disgusting, right? Because you start using this move a lot, right? You start using this move a lot, you're spamming it, they start ducking, and then boom, before they can blink, right? Before they can blink, this move comes out. This is like pretty much unseeable. Even with the sloppiest execution, because you can, when you do backsway, you can actually hold it for a really long time before you input the move to add in a bit of extra frames of evasion. Even if the slowest time, right? Like this move's not reactable. The moment Paul does his little dip backwards, the opponent has to guess between this one and this one. There's no way he can't fuzzy this mix up because this thing is too fast. He can't react to, oh, he's doing that. From down forward 1, he doesn't need to react, he just jabs you and he's going to hit you out of both. But in the neutral, right, when the opponent's just kind of like unsure what to do, you can just press this button as much as you want. It's -9 on block, so your turn, -8, even better. Your turn's kind of over, right? But due to the pushback on block, they're not really going to be able to do anything with it. Like, it's insane how good this move is. Now, if you see the opponent sidestepping a bunch, don't use it too much because it's kind of linear, but it's so fast, like you can sometimes clip them. But anyway, so after this on block, right, you're +1. So that's when you start doing, your 1-2s, your jabs to challenge your opponent, or you start doing pulse throws, which I'll talk about later. So after this on block, remember you're only +1, but you're +1, right? So you can start doing jabs. You can start, remember always, this is where movement comes in. So as your movement gets better, you can start sidestepping a bit more to experiment and see, okay, if my opponent tries to challenge me, let me sidestep what he does and can I punish him for it? And once you see they start ducking because they're afraid of this move, you just hit them with this move and it works wonders. All right, this is your Death Fist. It wall splats too. Even at the wall, they can't tech roll the knockdown. They can't back roll the knockdown. They get wall splat. So and this is, oh yeah. This is what I think was really lacking in your in your Paul gameplay was just poking. Look, this move is stupidly busted, right? Yeah, it can, some people will be like, oh, it's -14. Some people can launch it. Who cares? It's a wrong. Oh god, I need to get some sleep. Excuse me. It is a high crushing low with really good tracking, really long range, counter hit knockdown into guaranteed demo man, counter hit launch if you're good enough, but that's a whole nother level. You can, so when this move on counter hit, you can technically what's the word? You can do instant while standing 3-2 for a combo. I've seen Knee and Justice, both execution gods in their own right? Drop it all the time. If you can practice it and you can get it, more power to you. But typically, this on counter hit just leads to a guaranteed demo man, and that's still really good. It's incredibly good. But anyway, think about these awkward ranges when you're in the neutral and you're kind of like dashing around, right? You throw him, which is good. You throw him away, and you dash in, but right here, right? So right here, you do another down back 2. But you've already done a down back 2. And this is like the early ranks where you're not really at this like Yomi layer 5 or some bullshit. People are going to be expecting another mid, right? Right here, if you just dash in and do core circle forward 3, you'd have gotten some easy chip damage. And then, yeah, he might be enraged, but he's that much closer to death, right? Like, down back 2 isn't the worst option. I'm just saying, in this situation, you also had some guaranteed chip damage with this move. Utilizing this move is very critical because all that chip damage adds up. 17 damage is nothing to, scoff at. It's a solid damage low, especially for all the other amazing things it does. Because as you bring your opponent closer, every little bit of chip damage starts to add up. Are they going to be nervous when they're like close to full health? No, but you get one good hit in. Okay, so now you got 2 good hits in, and boom, he's at half health off of two moves, and then like what, a poke? How the round start? 1 counter hit course will go back 4. Demo man's kind of whatever. So you got one course will go back 4, 2 course will go back 4, 1 throw, and boom, now he's at half health. Now you get this because he stayed on the ground, and he's literally 1 combo away from death, right? So this is why chip damage is so valuable, because the opponent's usually going to be trying to sidestep or stand block because they're expecting Death Fist. But if they sidestep, they get hit by this. If they stand block, they get hit by this, right? This move covers so much ground, it's insane. So this is a move you really want to be using a bit more, right? And especially at the early levels, nobody blocks low. So definitely using this move a bit more and trying to focus more on poking and ranges, and then, again, wait for you. The idea is that your pressure isn't necessarily explosive, right? Like you're not doing this move a lot, or obviously this is a lot more flashy than this move might be, but the chip damage is going to add up, and it's a very hard to deal with move, right? Unless you start being predictable with it, like the opponent's just going to keep eating this chip damage, and if they try to press buttons and challenging, you get an easy counter hit knockdown into demo man. So utilizing this move a bit more. I don't think they have the new animation, do they? Oh, I'm pretty sure this animation is different now. Anyway, back 4 is actually really solid. When you're standing around, this is another move where you're standing around in the neutral, right? You do your knockdown, you do your throw, boom. So right here, if you did back 4, this would have also been a perfectly fine situation, right? And back 4 does how much? 14 damage? That's actually a lot considering things, right? You get +3 frame advantage, you get a nice bit of chip damage, and you get to do a bit more to work with, and it hits grounded, but that's a whole nother story or whatever. So this will give you some frame advantage, because as amazing as this move is, it is not plus on hit. It is only neutral, so you're not very likely to be able to continue your offense. I'm not saying it should be plus because the move's already doing a lot, but if Bamco wants to give it to me, I'm not complaining. Holy shit, can you imagine Paul getting buffed again? Did he get any buffs this season? Yeah, he got this buffed for some reason. Oh man, they keep buffing this character. It's hilarious. All right, look. So why is this move important? This move on counter hit is insane. It's plus 16G, which means you have 16 frames of frame advantage. However, the opponent can block or duck. Right? Here's the important part. One, they cannot move. They literally cannot move. They cannot sidestep, they cannot backdash. You're too far out for a demo man, and by the time you dash in for the demo man, it's too late. But they can, if you do anything you do, they have to respect it. They have to respect the mix up. And here, more importantly, why do they not have a gift for it? That blows my mind. Paul's down forward 2 is one of the most broken moves in the game. On top of its high vision or whatever, it is safe on block, right? You have a launching safe mid. However, the reason it is safe on block is because it does not launch crouchers. However, when this move counter hits, for whatever reason, the way the game's programmed, if the opponent is ducking, shoutouts to Pandera for pointing this out. When the opponent is ducking, if they try to duck, they will get launched by down forward 2. Why? I don't know. Right? And I've tested it myself. Like, I've gone in game, I set myself to crouching, and I see the frame data saying crouch status, and then I get launched by down forward 2, which shouldn't normally happen. So this move on counter hit really opens up a whole new world of opportunity. Are they going to be pressing into it often? I want to get better at using this move. But the idea is that you have a pretty safe, easy low to abuse that's frame advantage on hit. It's not the worst on block. It is minus 13. Yeah, it's minus 13. Paul gets a decent punish on it, but you're not going to get launched for it, right? Think about it. Would you rather do this or Demo Man, right? Demo Man, you risk whiffing the clean hit. Your opponent blocks the rest of the string, they punish you. Or they block the first part, and then you just die for a full combo. Whereas if they block this, right, you don't have to worry about a clean hit, and you get some easy chip damage, easy frame advantage. Different lows for different situations. You don't always want to over-rely on Demo Man. And I guess, actually, in your situation, you like Sidestep 3 a lot. This is like a budget Sidestep 3, right? It's a bit faster because you're doing it directly from neutral. You don't have to do the sidestep, right? Sidestep 3 is reasonably fast, right? It's 19 frames, but because it comes out of a sidestep, it's actually really slow. But that's fine because you can use your movement to mask the sidestep 3. I've seen people that they're dashing around and they do a sidestep 3 and it looks like it's coming out instantly, right? Because they're using a lot of movement inputs to mask it. They'll do a quick sidestep, and maybe they'll just won't do anything. They'll just keep moving. But as they condition their opponent to respect the sidestep, boom, that's when the sidestep 3s start coming out. Right? So, oh man, I'm throwing too much. But basically, abuse this move at ranges when your opponent can't like challenge you or whiff punish you easily. When they start ducking you, you start spamming this move. And honestly, if they're just standing in neutral, just spam this move because this move's fucking busted. At ranges when your opponent is still just kind of, you're at this awkward range, you're just kind of figuring out what to do, right? Ignoring all this. All right. Oh. So like right here, if you could have done Corsical forward 3, it likely would have come out faster and high, because it high crushes on frame 6. You got to have really good Corsical forward inputs though, because if you're too slow, then he'll most likely clip you out of it. Right, but you want to start using this a bit more to start chipping it for damage, and then the whole idea of Paul's pressure is not some like move, right? It's literally just Paul. Like people see Paul, they freak the fuck out because of all of his infamous hype, and from there you have like this built-in pressure engine, right? Your built-in pressure is that people are always going to be afraid of Death Fist and Demo Man, right? And so you want to use those moves occasionally, but we'll get to that later. That's a whole other story. But you want to make them freak out, right? Make them freak out that you're gonna Death Fist them, and then you just do Corsical forward 3, and you keep doing that, and they're gonna keep freaking out, and then the moment you sense that they're gonna block low because you've done like 10 of these in a row or some shit, then you Death Fist them, and then they freak the fuck out, right? Everybody freaks out when they get hit by Death Fist. It's insane. It's great. All right. This move's, this is your only, only frame advantage tool. I should counter hit launch. Fuck it, do it. But anyway, so yeah, it's about utilizing more of Paul's kit, and then you want to. Your pressure is utilizing these pokes and unnerving your opponent into freaking out and making a mistake because they get frustrated from how safe Paul is. All of these moves are really safe, right? This, they're not going to launch you, right? They get 13 frames, which is not the best, but it's still, they're not going to launch you, which is fine. This is stupidly plus on block. For everything this low does, it is not launch punishable by most of the cast, right? Are there people who can launch you? Sure. But it's fine because 15 frames is where a majority of the cast can launch you, right? This, safe on block, 100%. If they block it, they can't punish you. Yoshi can't even flash, right, because of the pushback. Never have to worry about that. This is a homing, high counter hit launcher that knocks down a normal hit, right? It's insane how much this move does, and it's plus on block, right? So the idea is that you're abusing Paul's safety. You just abuse all of his strong moves and frustrate your opponent because they're just like, fuck, I can't do anything against this guy. And then when they start throwing out moves to try and as a Hail Mary or panic, and once they start to panic, that's when you start to punish them, right? So that should be the core of your gameplay. That should be the core of your pressure. That's just my 2 cents on hey, here's some me blabbering about Paul for 20 minutes or some shit. Oh god, if this is really long, I'm gonna feel so bad. Anyway, like I said, again, a lot of this stuff, it's you want to build up to it. You build up this knowledge over time, and you don't worry, you'll get there. Work on the movement, work on the combos, work on your poking, and you'll slowly as you work on each aspect of your game, and you start to get that experience and a better understanding of how things goes, and the picture starts to form itself, right? It's like a big picture puzzle. You one piece at a time, you're just connecting the pieces, and slowly but surely the picture starts to form together, and then you're able to see the big picture of how all these things interact with each other, right? Shit, I did not talk nearly enough about the small Tekken tools, but I also talked for too long. My apologies. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You're in the Paul Discord. Feel free to do all that. Anyway, cool. Let me know if you need anything. Sounds good.